There is one number going around NASCAR this week that has fans doing a double take. It belongs to Shane Van Gisbergen, and it tells a story that almost feels unfair to the rest of the field. Here is the stat. NASCAR Insights posted it on June 18, and it stopped a lot of conversations cold. Shane Van Gisbergen has finished in the top 5 in the last 7 road course races in a row. 7 straight. That is the longest active streak of its kind in the entire Cup Series right now. And the gap behind him is not small. Michael McDowell is second on that list with 3 straight top 5 finishes on road courses. Reddick and Ty Gibbs are tied next with just 2 each. That is the whole list. In a sport where the top cars are usually split by tenths of a second, Shane is 4 full races ahead of the next guy in line. Now the Cup Series is heading to Naval Base Coronado for the first ever San Diego street race. And that little number is starting to feel a whole lot bigger. Let me back up for a second and talk about who Shane Van Gisbergen is, because if you are new to NASCAR, his name might sound unfamiliar. He came to the United States with a big reputation. Before NASCAR, he was already known as one of the best road racers in the world. Then in 2023, he showed up and won his very first Cup Series race ever on the streets of Chicago. It was his debut. He had never driven a Cup car in a real race before, and he won. That is just not something that happens in this sport. Since then, he has been a full-time driver for Trackhouse Racing, and every time the schedule moves away from regular ovals, he has been the guy everyone else is chasing. Other drivers have known it for months. The numbers just finally back it up. There are plenty of strong road course drivers in the field. McDowell is fast. Reddick is fast. Ty Gibbs has been turning heads too. But none of them have been able to keep up with the kind of run Shane is on right now. And think about how easy it is to mess up a top 5 finish in NASCAR. One bad pit stop, one late caution flag, one small mistake, one driver behind you making a dumb move. Any of those things can knock you out of the top 5 in a heartbeat. Stringing together 7 of those finishes back-to-back on tracks where most drivers are just trying to survive is a different level. As one writer at Motor Biscuit put it, it's the kind of run that separates a contender from a favorite. Now we get to the strange part of this weekend. Nobody knows what is going to happen. The race in San Diego is called the Anduril 250. It will be held on Sunday, June 21. The track itself is brand new. It is being built on the streets around Naval Base Coronado. The Cup Series has never raced there. No driver has notes from last year. No team has old setups to look back on. Every driver, every crew chief, every spotter is starting from scratch. That is a wild thing in NASCAR, where teams normally have years of data on every track. There is no previous Cup race to study. There are no historical trends. Everybody is learning in real time. But that is also why Shane is such a strong pick. Street tracks have already been good to him. Road tracks have always been his thing. So while every driver lines up with a clean slate, Shane has earned the benefit of the doubt. A 7-race top 5 streak is already hard. Doing it against the best group of road racers NASCAR has ever had makes it even tougher. And if he keeps it going in San Diego, this story really starts to feel like history in the making. Now let's talk about the betting odds, because this is where things get really interesting. The people who set lines for a living agree with what the stats are saying. Going into this weekend, the big story in NASCAR has been Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has won the last 3 races. He has also taken 3 poles in a row. People have been calling it Denny domination. So you would expect him to be near the top of the odds list for San Diego, right? Wrong. Here is how DraftKings Sportsbook had it as of June 17. Shane Van Gisbergen sits at the very top at minus 160. He is the heavy favorite. Bet $10 on him, and you would win about $16.25 if he takes the checkered flag. Behind him, Connor Zilisch comes in at plus 650. Reddick is at plus 900. Michael McDowell is at plus 1,400. Ty Gibbs is at plus 1,600. Kyle Larson sits at plus 1,800. Chris Buescher, AJ Allmendinger, and William Byron are all stacked together at plus 2,200. Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott share plus 2,800. Chase Briscoe is at plus 3,000. Then Ryan Blaney and Ross Chastain are both at plus 4,000. And here is the part that makes you stop. Denny Hamlin, the guy who has won 3 races in a row, sits all the way down at plus 4,500. Even with all that recent hot form, the odds makers do not see him as a real road course threat. Below him, Kevin Magnussen is at plus 5,000. Daniel Suarez is at plus 5,500. Alex Bowman is at plus 6,000. Joey Logano, Corey Heim, Carson Hocevar, and Austin Cindric are all sitting at plus 9,000. Brad Keselowski is at plus 10,000. Ryan Preece is at plus 11,000. Eric Jones and Bubba Wallace are both at plus 15,000. A group that includes Todd Gilliland, John Hunter Nemechek, Jimmy Johnson, Austin Dillon, and Zane Smith all sit at plus 20,000. Cole Custer and Austin Hill are at plus 30,000. A handful of others, including Riley Herbst, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Noah Gragson, and Josh Berry, are at plus 40,000. Ty Dillon and Cody Ware round out the board at plus 50,000. So why does Shane open as the clear favorite? It is simple. The man has been crushing it on road and street courses. In 2025, he won 5 of these kinds of races. 5. That is a number most drivers do not hit in a full career on road courses. In 2026 so far, his only win this season came at Watkins Glen, the famous road course in upstate New York. He also picked up the pole there. Right now, he sits 14th in the point standings. So when the schedule turns toward an oval, he is just okay. But when there are corners and curves and braking zones, he becomes a totally different driver. There is one other name worth watching this weekend, and that is Ty Gibbs. Gibbs has been quietly building a strong road course resume of his own. He finished 3rd at Watkins Glen earlier this year. He finished 2nd at the Chicago Street Race in 2025. He came in 7th at Sonoma in 2025, which is one of the toughest road courses in the sport. Gibbs also picked up his very first Cup Series win in April of this year at Bristol Motor Speedway. That is a big moment for any young driver. And right now, he is 5th in the point standings heading into the weekend. So while Shane is the favorite, Gibbs is the kind of guy who could play spoiler if things break right for him. Pull it all together and the picture gets clear. Shane has the longest road course top 5 streak in the series at 7. Street tracks have been good to him. Vegas has him at minus 160. He won 5 road and street races last year. He already has a win and a pole at Watkins Glen this year. And the new San Diego track is so new that the field is basically guessing, which only helps the guy with the most natural road racing talent. Yes, Denny Hamlin is hot. Yes, Reddick and Gibbs have streaks of their own going. Yes, Connor Zilisch sitting at plus 650 means people see him as a real threat too. But the spotlight belongs to Shane Van Gisbergen. Because if he finds a way to make it 8 road course top 5s in a row this Sunday at Naval Base Coronado, the question stops being whether he is the best road racer in NASCAR right now. The question becomes whether anyone else is even close.